Hello everybody, happy Thursday and welcome to my channel. So let's talk more about Navalny. Navalny continues to be in a German charity clinic. It's the same clinic that treated Viktor Yushchenko, former president of Ukraine, in 2004 with alleged poisoning as well. However, that case died down, there was no charges laid. Eventually he became president of Ukraine for a term, so that's basically where that stands. Nevertheless, let's get back to Navalny. Navalny camp claims he was poisoned, and highly likely by drinking the tea at the Tomsk airport before his flight from Siberia. But the videos released on social media from the airport internal security camera shows that the tea was bought for him by one of his fellow party members, and the tea was made right there. Therefore, there was no tampering even at that point. But there could have been other substances that he possibly could have ingested and he was poisoned, but it was before Siberia, or even on his flight even before, because some of them can have long-term effects and could be released slowly in the system penetrating them. That's unknown still. The charity clinic doctors claim that they found traces of neuroagent in his system. But also, let's look back at something else. First, he was transported to the hospital in Omsk, where he was put into induced coma. When you put somebody in induced coma, the phenobarbital you use, they usually have neurological effect, obviously, to slow down or actually stop certain type of impulses to the brain. That's how you end up in induced coma. So that could have been the traces of those medical supplies that were found in his system when charity doctors ran all those tests, because don't forget, Navalny was not transported to the German clinic until Saturday. The incident occurred Wednesday. Therefore, Russian doctors treated him for over 2 days, so they would have been using a lot of different medication. But at the same time, this was all speculation until charity clinic can actually release the exact substances that were found, or traces of substances that were found in Navalny's body. So now Navalny is a martyr, he's the leader of opposition, he's trying to fight a horrible Putin and Kremlin's regime, and yet gets poisoned right before State Duma election next month. So, but at the same time, who is really Navalny? Overall, his father used to be very high up in Russian Ministry of Defense, or actually should I rephrase, Soviet Ministry of Defense, because it was still Soviet Union until 1991. What is interesting about Navalny, he's never served in the military. And I'll tell you why this is important. During the Soviet era and thereafter the Soviet Union collapsed, every young man serves in the military. And during Soviet era, they did 2 years. After the collapse of Soviet Union, shortly after, it became 1 year, but it is mandatory. The only men who do not serve in the army are the ones who either have severe psychiatric illnesses or have physical ailments that prevent them from serving. According to Navalny's documents that are available in a public forum or were leaked there, but to make a story short, he had weak intestine and internal systems, therefore he could not serve in the army. That was the military documentation provided. So if that's true, Navalny should be a very sick man, and therefore this internal issues and the screaming in pain currently, could be for his pre-existing conditions, since he had either genetic or childhood. But Navalny's live channel and everybody in his camp saying that Navalny is very healthy. And given how much he travels and looking at him constantly being so active, he does not appear to be ill, but again, we don't know that. But in that case, if we believe the Navalny camp that he's healthy prior to this and he doesn't have any issues, then that would mean that he's a liar, an opportunist, and used his father's status to obtain false medical documents with this ailment so he could avoid service. And that happens when he is super young. So he can't say, oh, because he was a Kremlin's opposition, if he went to the army, something could happen, he could get sabotaged. Usually the men who go in the army in Russia are 18. Navalny was not known at 18 to anyone as far as any type of political opposition is concerned, and highly likely would have not even been, because if his father was high up in Russian Ministry of Defense, it would be frowned upon, for one. For two, I'm sure his father would not be thrilled. So that leaves us to believe that it is false. So how can somebody believe that Navalny is a true leader of opposition and fighting the regime when he himself is at best dishonest, possibly fraudulent, using his father's connections to get such documentation, because at 18 he clearly would have not had those connections himself. Let's face it. So it's either A or B, but in both instances, that means, he's not a martyr. He's not a Russian symbol and fighting the regime. He's just another opportunist trying to make a name for himself and have large social media following, want to fight and have personal ambitions, and maybe even ambition to be Russian president, to even do better and outshine his father, who was high up in Ministry of Defense. Those answers are obviously unclear. But at the same time, nobody should be poisoned. It's clear it's not something that should happen to anybody, if in fact he was poisoned. But at the same time, again, there's still a lot of unanswered questions with all this. Everybody's using it as political situation. Boris Johnson mentioned that he stands with Navalny and to have a full investigation. I agree, there should be a full investigation on what happened. But at the same time, if his painted image of who Navalny is absolutely false. It is falsified for the media. There's nothing honest about that man. So given all of that, how could he be both the child of fighting Kremlin and oppression when he himself, just knowing those facts, we're not even going to go deeper into other allegations, because, once he became a Kremlin opposition, it's very hard to say if the charges that he had brought forward and been charged with are true or falsified, or there's other mitigating stories. We can't speculate on that, because given Frugal's case alone out of Khabarovsk, where he was removed and charged on charges from 15, 20 years ago for staging murders, that's ridiculous. So, nobody says that Russia is honest and the system is transparent. But like I said, the facts about Navalny being 18 speak for themselves volume, because like I said, how can you be patriotic about your country? How can you be patriotic about serving people when you yourself did not go for formal military training, when technically speaking either you're ill, well then go with that, or you're not. You can't play both sides. And if you are severely that ill, then you're Superman for traveling so much and doing so much. But again, his only staff doctor that he has is an ophthalmologist who specializes in eyes. So she clearly is not an internalist. But again, that's his life and what he does. But to make a public spectacle stating that Navalny is this freedom fighter and this wonderful man fighting corruption and oppression is absolutely not true. However, I would love to know what everybody thinks. Please like, subscribe to my channel, and you can read my articles at www.communalnews.com under Kristina Kitova. Thank you!